Hi, I'm John McAuliffe, Chief Marketing Officer of VFM Leonardo, and welcome to the VTV channel. VTV is a weekly series of interviews with industry experts on the latest topics in travel e-business, and specifically online merchandising practices that help hoteliers extract more value out of their online presence. As always, we encourage you to email us at vtv@vfmleonardo.com to suggest topics that you would like us to cover in future episodes. Today, I'm joined by Daniel Edward Craig, a hotel consultant and prolific blogger that provides an entertaining insider's look at issues in the hotel industry. Mr. Craig has worked for a variety of upscale hotels, including as vice president of one of the first boutique hotels, which was also voted one of the world's top 100 hotels by readers of Condé Nast Traveler magazine. As if blogging in the hotel industry is not enough, Mr. Craig is also an acclaimed author of a 5-star mystery series. Daniel, thank you for joining us on VTV and welcome.
Thanks for having me, John.
Our topic today, how to tell compelling stories that attract and convert travel shoppers online. In addition to being a hotel marketing consultant, you're also a published author of a series of mystery novels, so you know a lot about storytelling. Nowadays, online travel shoppers want to see and experience a hotel before booking. In fact, many people would say that the hotel experience starts when they start looking online. I'd like to get your insights on how hoteliers can tell more compelling stories to in-market travel shoppers that will help convert them into guests. In your opinion, what is a story and why would a hotelier care about having one?
Well, a story when it comes to a hotel is really about the brand, and it's really telling consumers why they should choose that hotel and what makes it different from other hotels. And hotels, like a book, have story elements. They have a setting, the city they're in, the location, the neighborhood they're in. They have characters, their staff. And they have themes, their values, their mission statement, their vision. And essentially the messaging needs to be compelling the traveler to want to become a part of that story.
So if I were to start as a hotelier to put my story together, what is the one thing that I would really need, to understand about my hotel before I begin writing it?
Well, I think you really need to understand, obviously, the brand. More than anything, what makes your hotel different from other hotels? In many ways, hotels have been really commoditized, particularly with online travel agencies. You go online to Expedia or Hotels.com, and you see lists of hotels that, virtually look identical, and with rate wars, there's not a lot of differentiation with rate among hotels in the same competitive set. So where a hotel can really stand out is in the stories that they tell. And I think hotels can learn a lot when storytelling from online travel reviews, because they're compelling and they get really well read. Because not only because they're grassroots and authentic, but because they tell interesting stories that are peppered with facts and trivia and recommendations, and they tend to have great titles for hooks. And these are all really storytelling elements that a hotel can integrate into its own messaging when it comes to marketing.
That's interesting. I hear a lot of hoteliers, and when they start to go about telling their story, they typically gravitate to characteristics of the building that they're in. They talk about their pool or their guest rooms and the like, but all these tangible elements of primarily the structure that their hotel is in. And the one element or the example that you're giving us is to take some of the intangible elements out of something as simple as online travel reviews to help find the little nugget of information that can tell your story. What is it, what can a hotelier do that feels like their hotel is not terribly different than the one down the street, to really find that nugget of information that can differentiate them from their competitors?
Well, yeah, as you mentioned, websites often tend to be a list of features and benefits. And when it comes to writing, fiction writing, you're always told, this is really, listing that kind of stuff is just exposure. What you want to do is dramatize those elements. So tell a story and integrate them. So you're not just listing things off. They make them much more compelling. And these days, there's so many opportunities to tell compelling stories because, particularly with social media, you have the ability to add images and videos and dramatize your story. And so it's much less about the words than about the visual content.
Right. So that dramatization, this is what the next part that I wanted to ask you about was, so as a hotelier, I have my story. What's the best way of telling that story to people, given that a lot of the environments that I can list my hotel on are homogenous? Well,
the best way to tell it is briefly. Essentially, you don't get the opportunity to tell the whole story. Particularly with social media, you think about something like Twitter, you've got 140 characters. You can't tell the story of your hotel brand. So the idea there is really to come up with hooks that grab the reader and make them click to find out more information, which allows you to provide a little bit more of the story, and ultimately you're leading them to click that book now button.
Certainly, social media is a growing area of interest for hoteliers, and many are doing a very good job at it, and some are just learning the ropes, if you will. But there's also the other areas that are exposed online, whether that's my own website, or again, whether it's on a third-party travel site like a Travelocity or a Yahoo Travel, where I'm presented in very much the same way as my competitors.
Right.
Are there elements that I can, or things that I can do to get that really great story about my hotel in front of travel shoppers in order to differentiate myself?
Well, definitely you want to have killer content and great imagery. It's interesting, when you go to shop on Expedia, you see a list of hotels and one image, and that image is of the exterior of the hotel. And often that image is, does it make you want to stay at that hotel? The majority of the time, no, it's just a building. So that itself is a key image. And it's interesting because the advent of technology has enabled us to create our own photographs and our own videos and share them. But when it comes to, we tend to confuse, when content is generated by a traveler, it's okay for it to be a bit amateurish. In fact, it makes it more authentic. But when it's coming from a hotel, it still needs to be professionally done.
Right. So the ability to produce professional content, and I would assume that that's not just visual content, but also the text content that you provide to those third-party sites that they put about your hotel.
Yeah, absolutely. Hotels, every organization online, we're becoming storytellers. We're becoming publishers of content. And the more interesting, compelling content that we provide, whether it's text or images, the more attention we're going to get, and the more business it will drive to our organization.
And certainly we're seeing as well that online shoppers inside and outside of the travel industry, quite frankly, are gravitating and consuming a lot of video online. If I were a hotelier considering telling my story through video, are there any tips that you can give to me that would help me ensure that my video is perhaps a little bit different than others, and how I can describe some of the overview components of my hotel, like its location, its features and amenities within that video?
Well, certainly it gets back to telling a story. and having a narrator who really reflects the brand and is comfortable. And, social media, all marketing now, it's a bit less formal, and hotels tend to be very formal. But we need to relax a little bit, of course, continuing to be very professional, and authentic. Being authentic certainly helps.
So it's interesting when we talk about the narrator, I've seen very effective videos, concierge videos, in fact, where the personality of that concierge that is the narrator in the video would be enough just to want to go to the hotel. So it really is a good insight from that standpoint. And married up with bringing a less formal but professional focus to your video, your visual communications, to provide relevance and perhaps warmth and engagement with the audience.
Absolutely.
Great insights, Daniel. Thank you very much for sharing them with us today.
My pleasure.
We appreciate having you on VTV. To all the viewers out there, be sure to post your comments on this episode of VTV and subscribe to our feed to receive more valuable insights from industry experts.